Hey everybody, Dr. Ryan and Ashley. We're talking today about metabolism, and I'm really excited because we actually have an event coming up called Metabolism Makeover, but we want to share with you guys why that's important. I think it's a hot button right now. We have, the GLP-1's and all these different things out there. And honestly, I don't really want to get into that a whole lot. We can save that for another time. But I want to talk about what is your metabolism? What is it? Mm-hmm. At its core, when we say metabolism, and we've talked about this, like point to your immune system, kind of hard to do. Point to your nervous system, brain. Point to your cardiovascular system, heart. Point to your digestive system, stomach. Point to your musculoskeletal system. Like they're everywhere, but like biceps, legs, whatever, you can touch it. But when I go point to your metabolism, it gets confusing.
Very confusing.
And that's where cricket, right? And we could insert that there because that's literally what everyone hears in their brain is like, where is my metabolism? What is my metabolism? What does that actually mean?
Yeah, and it's funny because I think when you say the word metabolism, I think typically the first thought that comes in, years ago, if you would have said, what's a metabolism? I would have said, oh, it's whether you're overweight or regular, it's just how you burn calories. I think that's.
Are you skinny, regular, or bigger?
Yeah, it's like large, medium, small. That's what a metabolism is.
What is it? Mesomorph, endomorph, ectomorph. And that's literally how they used to teach it. Like some people have big body types, some people have small body types. That's not really what's going on. Your metabolism is what drives everything in your body. It's the energy system behind everything. It's the energy system behind your immune system, behind your cardiovascular system, behind your healing, behind your growth, behind your repair, your restoration. But even that is still vague.
Right.
It's very vague.
Right.
So the reality is, and let's get down to it at its core, it's how your cells are functioning. It's the rate at which your cells are able to do their job. So here's what I want you to do. If you're at work, look around the room, and you're going to see some people working very efficiently, and you're going to see some people working very inefficiently. The ones working very inefficiently, if they were inside of a body, they are slowing down the metabolism of the body. And the ones that are working very efficiently and they're just getting work done and they're go-getters, they are helping to speed up the metabolism of the body. And your body is like that. There are cellular functions, and unfortunately in our bodies, it's typically not. Some are overcompensating for others to that degree.
Yeah.
But if you look at a business and the overall average is this complacency, that business isn't thriving. You look at it.
I'm
stick with me here for a second.
I know, but I'm imagining who's running this show?
Who's running this ship?
The body.
But if you have a business that's high functioning, you think of I don't know. I like thinking in terms of business. You look at Amazon, whatever you think about them, or Zappos back in the day, or I don't know, name a really highly Uber or whatever it is, people who have figured out how to get things working efficiently. And what does that entail? What does it mean to work efficiently? Well, it's a lot of things. It's the systems, the processes, the procedures, what the people believe, how they're functioning, what are they showing up like, all these different things. Well, in your body, it's very similar. It's what are you doing? How much demand are you putting on it? Because some of these businesses perform very well because there's a lot of demand on them and there's high expectations, but there's also high compensation, high belief. Same thing. Your cells, is there high demand? That's working out. Is there high compensation? That's called nutrition. Is there high support? That's called hydration and recovery, sleep. You know what I mean? Did they go on the corporate retreat? That's 8 hours of sleep a night. So we're going to go through these, but really it's the cellular function of your body. So it's how you're breathing, how you're healing, how your hormones are functioning, your brain activity, your movement, your recovery. And if your cells are all working together well, then you have a highly functioning metabolism. If your cells are not functioning well together, you have a lower functioning metabolism. And the result of that is your blood sugar spikes, your A1C spikes, your insulin's off the charts. You're going to the doctor, running out, getting shots of GLP-1, and you're taking Colon Broom supplements because you think it's a fiber problem, or you're doing Colon Broom's a brand. No. You're taking Colon Broom and you're emptying out fiber, thinking you just got waste stuck in there, and maybe you do because, again, part of your metabolism is getting rid of stuff.
Okay, but that's kind of a fun brand name. Like
Colon Broom. That's actually the name.
That's a fun name.
We have no affiliation, but it's actually just really interesting. And maybe that's true. Yeah. Maybe you are having trouble getting stuff out. That is part of your metabolism. We're going to break down some of these categories, but the biggest thing is, before we get into that, we really want to talk about that metabolism, where if it's hard to point to, what is it really? And here's the reality. The reason it's hard to point to is because it's inside of every single cell.
Right. So inside of every single cell that you have is something that determines how efficient that the process of the cell is, right? So, I loved your working example that you did. I thought that was really good. I mean, that one's gonna go in the books for me.
Back with the armies.
Yeah, back with the armies.
Soldiers.
The soldiers. Yeah, so that was a great example. But the thing that determines how efficiently your cell works is the mitochondria.
Yep. So these mitochondria, if you took biology, which I think we all covered it in some, but you'll remember mitochondria, and most of you probably already thought it in your head, because the only thing that they really taught you about mitochondria, they are the powerhouses of the cell. So in my mind, I don't know why, but I see like a nuclear power plant, like from The Simpsons, with a smokestack. Like this powerhouse.
I see one of those like angry germ people, and I don't know why I see an angry germ person as the mitochondria. I don't know. Like there was
Some people look at it as like the battery of your cell, but the batteries are storage, and your mitochondria do store some energy, but they actually are energy producers, and they're actually, so the power plant idea is they're taking in fuel. And mainly, one of the biggest places they take fuel in is through oxygenation, and then they convert it into usable energy. And when your mitochondria are really healthy, then they actually help to produce energy efficiently. What does that energy do? It drives hormonal function. It drives recovery. It drives building muscle mass. It drives burning fat. It drives all these different processes. But when your mitochondria are dysfunctional, when they start to break down, then everything inside that cell and how that cell communicates with cells, and all these cells working together as tissues and organs, whatever, they all slow down. Going back to the business example, there was like the research that one C player, if you insert a C player into an A team, the productivity of the team goes down dramatically. Right. If you insert an A player onto a C team, the A player becomes a B player very quickly, where if you insert a C player onto an A player team, it's just different. And so what we want is we want A player cells. We want these cells that are functioning really efficiently. We want to drive this up. And so we talk about increased metabolism, decreased metabolism. Are we creating an environment? If this was the business, are we creating an environment that's conducive as winning Best Employer of the Year 2026 in terms of the cells in our body?
In terms of who's running this show.
Who's running the show?
If all your cells are in there going, who's running this show? What's going on here?
And a lot of times it's not because you're lazy. Your cells might be lazy. And it might not be because you're lazy. You might be going, I get up at 4. I exercise every morning. I do this and whatever. But I just can't lose weight, and I'm fatigued, and I have several. I can think of a few right now. I'm not going to name any names, but I have several hardworking, unbelievably productive patients that are struggling with their health and their bodies because they are putting all this stress in and they're doing all these things, but we got to get back to what are the key things that actually matter. And what's cool is the byproduct of a healthy body is more proficiency, more efficiency in everything else you do. So there are high output people that are high output people, but they're functioning at 60%. And they might be the 90% producer in the company, but they're actually functioning at 60% of their capacity, which is crazy. And there are other people that if they were functioning at their 100, they might not be the top guy on the totem pole. And that's okay. Somebody's got to be the toe. Somebody's got to be the finger. Somebody's got to be the head. And that's okay. But the reality is we all want to be thriving and function our best. And then long term, at the end, we all want to be healthy. Right? We don't want to lose a toe. We don't want to lose a finger. Right? In the business, you don't want to, like, we all want to be healthy, but we all want to be performing to our individual God-given potential, and we want ourselves functioning to their God-given potential. And that word that we like to use with that is capacity. That we want ourselves functioning and using their capacity. We want our mitochondria to be able to adapt due to the demand. And if there's more demand, we want them to be able to adapt harder. And if there's less demand, we want them to be able to recover. We want our mitochondria to be strong and efficient. And, you know, if that demand is chronic or chaotic or excessive, then those mitochondria get fatigued the same way that a worker would get fatigued if the demand was chronic, chaotic, excessive.
Yeah. And if it's consistent and efficient demand, then you're going to see that mitochondria thrive.
And with the right recovery and the right nourishment and the right food. So again, if there's an employee, it's like, what's their love language? How do you love on them? How do you speak into them? Do they have the time off? Do they have vacation? They have this, they have that. But also, one of the worst things, and I've realized this like with our children, one of the worst things that you can do is actually have low expectations on your kids. One of the worst things you can do in a business is have low expectations on an employee, to actually not think they're capable of something that they're fully capable, or even maybe holding an expectation slightly higher than what they think they're capable of. So they exceed, because when they exceed, they what? They win.
They win. And you know what's really interesting? This is such a silly example, but I play tennis, okay? And just like regular middle-aged women tennis, okay? And we had a tennis coach, the very first tennis coach we ever had. He would like teach us how to play tennis, and it was kind of like, well, this is what you're supposed to do, but like, you know, like you guys aren't going to be that good at it. Like you're like, I think I started playing tennis when I was like 31, the first time I ever picked up a racket. Like, well, I picked up a racket once or twice in college, but really like ever had played in a game before. And he was kind of like, this is what it should be, but like, why don't you guys just do it like this? Cause you're never going to be that good. Right. So then after he wasn't the tennis pro anymore, there was a new tennis pro that came in. And this guy was just a young buck who looked at us and acted like we were playing tennis.
He was in his 20s, right?
Yeah, and he looked at us like he expected us to play like we were going to the Olympics. Like we were the real, deal here. Like we were training for it. Like we were doing it. Like he held the line on his expectations for how we needed to play. And my gosh, did we not step up our game? Like we actually we started developing these things and these habits and the things that we were doing were like, we started rising to the level of those expectations in front of us. So what's really interesting in that was
showing up on time.
Yes. And like doing the work and like
I remember you guys used to have you had never like got scheduled outside of, like, you guys were like practicing outside of your practices. I remember that. It's actually funny, but the demand.
The demand was there, and it was like, and during practice, it was a serious practice. It was like, no, this is where you stand. Get up on the net. I don't care if you're scared. Like I don't care. Like we were like, I don't know if I want to do this. I'm scared. No, you stand up on the net. And this is how you play. And he really made us believe. I mean, there was a brief moment in time where I believed. I was like, oh my God, this person really believes in us, and we're gonna step into that.
Go ahead.
No, I love it.
I was gonna say, this is when you get into this is everything in the body. In some way, shape, or form is supply and demand. Like, not to make this an economics conversation, but it's supply and demand. And so when you put a certain demand on, now if you're chronically fatigued, if your nutrition isn't right, if all these things are moving in the wrong direction, and you're putting more demand on, you have no supply side, right?
Sure. Yeah.
If you have all the supply side but no demand, you're not working out, you're not doing anything, you're a couch potato or whatever, or you're sitting behind a desk 80 hours a week, but on the supply side, you're fueling it with the wrong foods or whatever, like it doesn't work. So the one thing that starts to happen as we age, and I think I can contest this, I'm 44 years old, and I've noticed that it is harder as you age. Doesn't mean impossible, but it's harder because hormones, I don't want to say they're downstream from cellular activity, but your hormones are driven by the health of your cells. So hormones, another elusive thing, point to your hormonal system.
Yeah.
Here's the crazy part. The main driver of it is in the middle of your brain, and it's called your pineal gland. And then below that, your pituitary gland, and below that, your brainstem, hypopituitary adrenal axis right here. And then there are glands like your thyroid and your thymus and these and your adrenals and your your testes and ovaries and all these things that drive all these hormones, but they're all based out of cells. And so if these cells aren't healthy and we want our hormones to be healthy, first we have to have healthy cells. We can't have healthy hormones without healthy cells. Yeah. And so this is interesting, but when we're under stress and chronic stress, and as we, go through like the changes in life where you go to different seasons, having kids and jobs, it's easy for under constant stress, cortisol rises, insulin signaling gets worse. That's the whole GLP thing. Thyroids. This was like the last 10 years was all thyroid. This right now, and hopefully it's not the next 10 years, but right now it's like all pancreas, GLPs, A1C, blood sugar. It's all pancreas. 10 years ago, it was all thyroid. And if you look, why was it all thyroid? Because there were new thyroid medications on the market. Sure. Why is it all pancreas right now? Because there's new peptides on the market for your pancreas and your blood sugar and weight loss. And so the reality in sex hormones, that was the last 10 years too. It was pellets inserted into your butt cheek and bioidentical hormones. And it was all this. Why? Because that was a new, fangled thing. Yeah. But really what it's about we want to set up all these cells for optimization, not failure. And we don't want to look at it as hormones, metabolism, energy systems, this, that. We want to go, how do we on a cellular level get healthy? And there's really like 4 or 5 really key things. And I've had people say, but I can't do that because of this, and I can't do that. So, all right, write down the ones, and the 1 or 2 that you're doing really well, keep doing them really well, okay? The 1 or 2 or 3 that you're not doing really well, that's where you need to work. You're like, but I don't have energy to do this because of this. Well, number 1, you have to put more demand on, and eventually with that demand will start to drive the supply side. Or number 2, you might actually have to look at the supply side and find out if you're actually doing it really well. People are like, well, I eat really well. Really? Write down everything you eat every single day. Highlight everything that is a pasture-raised meat or a vegetable, or I'll even give you fruit. Anything outside of that, rice, potato, bread, chips, whatever it is, and name me something else, Starbucks, blah, blah, blah. Sure, yeah. Highlight everything that is a protein, a vegetable, or a fruit in green, and highlight everything else in orange. And if you have a lot more orange than green, you don't eat healthy. Right. You just don't. Right. And you might think you do, but you don't. So, I mean, if you get, like, even go to Chipotle, get a bowl. It's 80% rice. So right away, you got a 20% grade if the rest of it's meat and vegetables. I don't care what school you go to, 20% is a big F. Right. So what do? First thing, no rice. Easy. So now my bowl can be 80% vegetables and whatever, and 20% protein. And now that whole meal is green. It's that simple. Right. You go out and everybody else is grabbing pizza or doing this or whatever. Like grab I remember like our burgers. All right, here's an easy one. You go to grab a burger, 2 pieces of bread and fries. Delete the 2 pieces of bread, go 2 patties, add some avocado to it, delete the bun, and instead of fries, ask for a salad on the side. You literally changed it from being on one aspect, like literally an F of a meal, and now you have, I would say, a B+ to an A- of a meal. Sure, yeah. And that's not even taking in whether it was pasture raised or wild caught or any of this stuff, but sometimes we're doing everything just, it's just a tweak. Just a tweak, right? But that little tweak can be huge in terms of how we're functioning. All right. So number one, I'm going to say movement. So let's go with, I like demand side first. And the reason I like demand side, I've had this conversation with people that when they come to me, and let's just use, for example, a smoker. I'm actually thinking of a patient right now. And she has been a smoker for years, and she has quit on 2 occasions. And I think right now she has recently quit again. So 3rd occasion, but every time that we talk about smoking, they're like, I know I need to quit. I always say, don't quit. How many do you smoke a day right now? And they're like, 10. I'm like, half a pack. There's 20 in a pack, in case you guys didn't know. 10 a day, half a pack. I'm like, okay, starting tomorrow, you're 9 a day. Next week, you're 8 a day.
Okay, yeah.
The week after that, you're 7 a day. And we're going to start working on that. Here's how we're going to do it. We're going to actually start. What I really want you to do, that's the cutting it backside. What I really want you to do is, how much water do you drink every day? I drink like 30 ounces. What do you weigh? 200 pounds. You're going to drink 100 ounces of water a day. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. And every week I start adding things in, and we start making less room for cigarettes.
Yeah.
Because we're putting more demand.
Right.
And we squelch out the rest of it. Is that the word? I don't even know what that word means.
No, it is. It is. And I mean, let's be honest. This was your mom's parenting philosophy for boys. When we got married, she said, if you have 3 boys like I did, which we have 2 boys and a girl.
Keep them in sports to keep them off drugs.
Yeah. She said, you just keep them busy. You just keep them so busy that they literally have no time for anything else. And she had a great philosophy on that, right?
Yep.
Like, it was great. And
Lots of sports, no drugs.
This is a very similar philosophy with food. Just crowd out all of your bad habits with good habits, so that the fact that it's like it's not that you can't do your bad habits, you just literally don't have time for them anymore.
So number one, how do you do that? Get your butt out of bed first thing in the morning, literally first thing in the morning. This morning I set my alarm by accident for 4. It was supposed to be 4:45. I got up at 4:45 this morning because I had to drive my oldest to something. He had to be there by 5:35. But get out of bed, and the first thing you do is get moving. For me, honestly, I knew I wasn't going to want to get out of bed. Actually, last night, 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups in the bathroom after I washed the dogs. But this morning, I could have done it just as easily then. First thing, drive that right away. I would tell you guys, 30 to 45 minutes of moderate to significant movement. If you want to go significant to intense, you can trim that down to about 20 to 30, but it's got to be 30 to 45 minutes every single day, driving your metabolism. How do you know that? You're sweaty. You're breathing heavy enough to where if Ashley walked into the bathroom while I'm doing push-ups, sit-ups, she'd be like, what are you doing? I'm like, and like I would struggle to talk, because that's the goal, is that's how you know you're at that 80% of your VO2 max and heart rate. And you want to spend, again, 30 to 45 minutes if it's not that labored. If it's intense, if you're doing CrossFit or whatever, it doesn't require that much. It requires literally 15, maybe 20 minutes. But if not, 30 to 45 minutes every single day. And I'd like to see you breathing hard and sweating. Those are the 2 big ones.
Love it.
All right.
Next one's one of my favorites.
It's true. It's good.
It's good. It's true.
Go ahead. I'll let you lead.
Sleep. It's sleep. You need sleep. Nothing's wrong with sleep. Don't be angry about sleep.
It is
Sleep's
not
wonderful.
It is not optional. I mean, that is the thing. And this is coming from in my family, myself, and I know my mom and my brother have always kind of struggled with like wanting, I think we all want to sleep, but I think we've all struggled with sleep. I used to think that there is a genetic mutation. I tested positive for it when we did the testing, where I can't remember what the gene is, but certain people require slightly less sleep to recover the same amount. Right. But I think that becomes a license or an excuse. And for me, I can go a long time and then boom, I crash.
And the slightly less was like 7 hours versus 8 hours.
Yeah, it's not. And I was probably running on 5 for a long period of time. Here's the reality is 8 hours is the goal, and 8 hours is ideal for everyone. But the most important part of that 8 hours is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. Yeah. And you're like, what? Why? If you've never heard that before, just write it down. Between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So you want to be asleep, already sleeping by 10 p.m. And you want to be getting in those many REM cycles as you can between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's where you're going to get your best recovery. There are people that literally go to bed at 9:30, they sleep, and they wake up, they're at 3 or 4 a.m. and they're boom, they can go and ready to go. Why? Because those 4 hours are actually the most critical. It doesn't mean the other 4 don't matter. It just means because of circadian rhythms, the sun, the moon, the stars, whatever's going on in the world and how God designed it, that we're actually in rhythm with the world in some way, shape, or form. And those hours, due to circadian rhythms, are very, very critical. And that whole window, if you want to get your hormones regulated, you want to get your mitochondria repairing, you want to get your nervous system reset, that area. So if you're the patient who's under chronic fatigue, chronic stress, your hormones are dysfunctional, I guarantee you, if we look at your sleep, you're the person that's like, I just really struggle to go to bed. And so I end up, and I go, so what do you do? Well, I'm on my iPad or I watch TV. No, bull crap. You shut off the iPad, you shut off the TV. In fact, you shut off all of your overhead lighting at 8 p.m. You're like, what? We just finished dinner. Yeah, shut it all off. Shut off the TV, shut off the iPad, shut off the overhead lighting. If you walk around our house at night, the only lights on after a certain time are salt rock lamps that glow red. Like the overhead lighting's gone. In fact, our house looks
kinda
weird.
Orange. Yeah.
Orange, red.
Yeah.
Our house looks weird from the street. People are like, what's glowing in your house at night?
They think we're just like decorating for Halloween.
We're hippies. No, but this is a real thing. We learned this years ago. Do we do it perfect? Do we do it every single night? No. Sometimes the kids are studying. It's up a little later or whatever. But the goal is everyone in bed by 10 p.m. and that they're sleeping at least through 2 a.m. and getting hardcore restorative sleep during those hours, because it drives those energy systems. Yeah. There's no way in, you know what, I would have woken up this morning at 4 o'clock. I was ready to go at 4 o'clock, but there's no way if I wasn't in bed. Like, could you imagine being up till like 1 a.m. that you got to get up for work every day at 6? Like,
no.
And some of you guys are doing that, and you're like, I just can't figure it out. It's my hormones, and I need to inject pellets into my butt, and I got to do. And it's like, no, it's actually not that complicated. All right, the next one. And
if sleep is my favorite,
this is mine.
This is for sure your favorite.
Yeah, this is. Sure. I could. Yes. Like this one is just me through and through, and that's protein. That if you want your metabolism to function well, you have to be eating protein. You've heard. I mean, here's a fun one. What's the largest organ in the body? And 80% of you will say the thing you've been taught when you're in grade school, which is skin. And I don't know who taught us that or where it came from, but it's bullcrap. It's not your skin. If you cut off all your skin right now, including your digestive tract, and laid it on a scale compared to laying all your muscle on a scale, and the proof of this is go, slaughter a cow and weigh the muscle and then weigh everything else. We're mostly muscle.
Yeah, I do. I feel like that is like a schoolyard fun fact.
Yeah, I think it goes from maybe weight in terms of pounds to like surface area.
Yeah.
I think they go surface area. But even surface area, that's not true, because if you just filleted all those muscles open and laid them out.
Yeah.
But your muscles are your absolute largest organ in your entire body. Largest system in your body is your muscular system. And so when we look at this, we have to be feeding that. And here, if you want to look into this, Gabrielle Lyons, Dr. Lyons, the Institute of Muscle-Centric Medicine, talks about how muscles are the organ of longevity. Muscles are actually your largest metabolic organ in your entire body. So if you want your metabolism functioning well, what did we say first? Demand. Use them. If you don't use it, you lose it. And now that you're using it, you have to sleep for recovery. But after you sleep and recover, how do you feed the recovery? Protein. If you're a vegan, sorry, you're not going to get enough protein in through beans and lentils. It's just not going to happen. You have to eat meat. You have to. Mm-hmm. And I don't know another way around it, but I used to go into the, health food stores, and I would talk to the vegans and everything. And what's crazy is most of those vegans, they saw awesome health changes and their health turned around or whatever. Not because they started eating vegetables, but because they stopped eating crap.
Right.
And then what happened is they kept eating vegetables for the next 10 years, and then their hair got scraggly and their skin got jacked up because they weren't getting B vitamins and they weren't getting omega-3 fatty acids, and you can only get so much of that through flax oil and all this. At some point, you have to realize I changed my nutrition from eating junk to going vegan or vegetarian, and that's fine, but animal meat is the most nutrient-dense thing on the planet, and when it comes to metabolism, the number one thing you need to drive your metabolism is protein.
Right.
That protein is driving, and again, you're working out and you got to be putting that protein in. So what does it do? Muscle maintenance, blood sugar stability, hormone production, and then here's the crazy one is protein actually creates a sense of satiety. That satiety is meaning you're not as hungry. If you guys have ever eaten like pizza or Chinese food or God forbid Taco Bell or something, you're hungry like 10 minutes later, maybe after you got off the toilet, but you're hungry like 10 minutes later. That doesn't happen when you're eating protein because that satiety, it's so nutrient dense and it's feeding that metabolic function. Without enough protein, our metabolism becomes insufficient. Insufficient for what? Insufficient to meet the demands of our hormones and of our immune system and of our recovery and of our energy throughout the day. So what's the goal? Ideally, it's about 100 grams of protein per day on average or more. I would say if you are an active individual, you want almost 1 gram of protein or more for every pound you weigh. You're like, that's a lot of protein. I'm trying to lose weight. You want to lose weight? Eat more. Actually, eat even more. Eat 1.5 grams per pound. I weigh 200 pounds. I want to weigh 180 pounds. Eat 220, 240 grams of protein a day and minimize everything else with the exception of maybe some vegetables and fruit, and you will start losing weight like crazy.
Right. Like that crowding out principle again is really going to do it for you in that scenario.
Yeah. You don't have time to eat chips when you're trying to pack away 200 grams of animal meat every day.
Good luck getting your chips in. When you do that.
All right.
Okay, so the next big thing we talk about is hydration. Every single reaction in your body requires water. Yeah. So hydration is huge in this respect. And it's really simple. You talked about this earlier. You mentioned very briefly, half your body weight in ounces.
Yeah, and a big reason for this is called cell signaling, okay? So your cells talk to each other. And we talk about the nervous system and how the brain, spinal cord, and nerves connect all of your organs, okay? That's true. But here's what's crazy is your cells are not connected by nerves that go from cell A to cell B. Now, they all have some electricity coming in through the tissue, but those cells actually have, it's called hydrophobic. They're hydrophobic and they transfer ions, which is electrical signals. I was helping our son study today, ionic reactions versus covalent reactions. Yeah. But there's ions that are transferred, and it happens when the cells are hydrated. So if you think I'm dehydrated, if you're dehydrated, your cells are dehydrated. We want full cells with all their voluminous, is that how you say it? Mm-hmm. Voluminous cells that are packed full of water. The other thing they need to be packed full of are minerals, and minerals are naturally occurring in water, but when we have tap water or filtered water, our minerals are missing. So we add minerals back into our water. Yep. Our filtration system in our house does not remove the minerals. It removes the pharmaceuticals, and then the minerals are added back into our water. But you want minerals in your water. So if you're like, I drink bottled water every day, you need to be adding minerals back in because it requires water plus those minerals. What are the major ones? Calcium, magnesium, sodium, phosphorus. Like these minerals have to be in your water because that's what creates the exchange. And that's how cells talk to each other. Cells that aren't talking create discommunication, dysfunction, and that slows up the rate of all the reactions in the body. So if we want to recover, it's slower. If we want our hormones functioning, it's slower. If we want to build muscle mass, it's slower. So hydration, but hydration has to be tied to this mineral content, and we really need that functioning well. Those are the must-dos: movement, sleep, protein, hydration. And then we're going to go through the one don't do, and we'll cover this even more, but sugar and carbohydrates. And when I say sugar and carbohydrates, I mean sugar and carbohydrates. All sugar. You're like, what about honey? No. What about, does it mean it's evil? No. But if you're trying to get it turned around, what about maple syrup? No. What about bananas? No, not right now. If you're trying to get it turned around, sugar is sugar is sugar. Yeah. If white sugar goes into your body and jacks up your blood glucose and your A1C like that, then a slice of bread does it like that. It's like a little bit longer, but it's the same thing. 2 slices of bread on a sandwich on your burger is 24 grams of sugar. That's half of a Coca-Cola. Once your body breaks it down, it goes into your body. I love, don't get me wrong, I love a croissant. I love eggs Benedict. I could go all day long. I love certain types of potatoes. I like rice. I love rice. I particularly like fried rice and coconut oil. I like these things too, but the reality is they slow our metabolism. Yeah. And I'm talking to you from someone who, over the last few years, my kids are like, Dad, can you make me some rice? I'm like, heck yeah, I'm about to eat some rice with this. Dad, can we get croissants? I'm like, yeah, I'll get you guys some croissants. I end up eating a croissant here and there.
Right.
What I have noticed in my own lifestyle is that when it was me and I was able to the willpower to cut these things out, but when they started coming in because the kids wanted things, it was easy. Yeah. And then they creep in. You're like, oh, it can't be that bad. I'm telling you right now, it is that bad. Right. I remember that story, Elizabeth. In fact, I'm going to use her full name. Elizabeth Wilhoit, if you're watching this, or I might even send this to you, she has been to 5 different Max Living offices. And she actually told this story from stage at a Max Living office. She was originally a patient in my office, lower back pain, got injured. I think she was shoveling the walker or something, got carried in and was hoping it'd be one visit, crack me, get me back.
Send me on my way. Yep.
But unfortunately, it was worse than that. And it was going to take some work. And then I had time to work with her. And one of the things that we were dealing with was just generally speaking, anytime she got injured, the inflammation levels were so high in response to that injury. And I'm like, you're just very inflammatory. Yeah. And I remember her asking why? And I'm like, I don't know. But you're very inflammatory. Could be hydration, could be this, could be that. All these things we just went through because part of inflammation is involved in your metabolism too. How well are you breaking down inflammation? How well are things repairing? If they're not repairing, inflammation's building. This is all metabolic. Yeah. And I remember asking her, tell me what you do every day. And the one thing that came out was they made a loaf of homemade organic bread in a bread maker every day. And she's like, no, but you don't understand. I make my own flour. Mm-hmm. And I can't remember if this was accurate or not, but I've heard this from other people. We use einkorn. Yeah. We get our flour from Italy. Yeah. Whatever. We grind it ourselves. We mill it. And it's homemade bread. And it's it's bread. It's bread. It turns into sugar. Right. And you eat a loaf every day? Who's at home? And it turns out it was her and her husband. Yeah. I'm like, so you eat a half a loaf every day? Yeah. And it was well, no, actually my husband doesn't really eat that much of it. I'm like, you eat 3/4 of a loaf every day? And not to call her out, but she would laugh at this right now. But she was like, no, it can't be that. I said, I'll challenge you on this. I want you to cut out bread, rice, pasta, potatoes, any starchy carbohydrates. Because when we went through it, she's like, I don't eat sugar. Mm-hmm. I don't eat added sugar. We don't use ketchup. Our salad dressings don't have sugar. We don't eat sugar. And I was like, but you eat bread every day. Yeah. Do you guys eat rice? Yeah. Do you eat potatoes? Yeah. I want you to cut out these starchy carbohydrates. I want you to cut them out for 2 weeks. And 7 to 10 days in, I want you to let me know how you feel. She called my office back, I think it was 2 days later, And she talked to my front desk person at the time. Her name was Amy. And she said, tell him I hate him. Tell him, is he there? Yeah. And she didn't even say like, Dr. Rett, is he there? Yeah. Tell him I hate him. And she was having headaches. Yep. She was having withdrawal effects. And I remember she called back the next day. She goes, there is no way this can be bread. Have a slice of bread. See how you feel. She had a slice of bread. Headaches went away. Everything was great. That would make you think that headaches are the solution, or bread's a solution to headaches.
Right.
But it's the opposite. Her body was going through this detoxification. So she ends up going the full 10 days, and she feels unbelievable. Her husband does it with her. Awesome husband. His digestive issues that he's had for 2 decades start clearing up.
Yeah.
His Crohn's disease starts calming down.
Yep.
All these things start changing. And she actually told this story, I think, a decade later on a stage in front of like 2,500 people about how what we taught her had changed her whole life, and that it wasn't just getting adjusted, but it was exercising. She was skinny. Yeah. She's like, I didn't think I need to exercise. I worked all day long and blah, blah. She's like, but now I do max T3 and I exercise every day, and we don't eat bread anymore. And like for some of you guys, you're like, life without bread. I'm not saying never eat bread. That's not the thing. I'm saying if you do this right and you follow I'm going to call it 90-10. I don't even like 80-20. If you follow the 90-10 principle, if you break down 7 days a week, 3 meals a day, that's 21 meals. 10% of that is 2.1. Right. If you only ate a bread, a rice, a carbohydrate, something starchy, any sugary drink, anything, whatever, like 2.1 meals out of 21 meals in a week, you'd be blown away at how different it looks. Absolutely. Just on the 90-10 principle.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But if you really look at it, again, pull out the green highlighter and the orange highlighter, and if you go through anything that's not meat or vegetable, then that, if it has orange, that's one of your 2.1. And you'll be blown away. You're like, oh, I'm the other way. I'm 90-10 in the wrong direction. Well, that's part of the metabolic thing. So that part, I will tell you, you can go the opposite way. You can go cut that out first and then do the other 4, or the principle I like, do the other 4 and make less room for that. I think the frustration that people get is when they do the other 4 and they're still not seeing changes. They're like, I'm doing everything, it's not working. Well, it's because that one is so critical. But if you do that one first, you go through a couple days of feeling crazy, and then those other 4 become easier and easier and easier.
And I think the overarching goal here is just stability, right? Like when you talk about your metabolism, the goal is stability. Yeah. And so when we talk about sugar and carbohydrates, those are things that they cause instability. They cause those big spikes to happen. And those spikes are the things that stress the mitochondria and cause dysregulation. And so that's where the issues come into play. So we're just looking for stability overall.
Yeah, and I think we'll end with this, is that if you're feeling frustrated, or if you feel like you're an enigma, you feel like you're a medical mystery, you're not. Please do an evaluation of those 5 and be honest with yourself, and I think you'll realize it's not as complicated as we make it out to be. You don't need an Oura ring. You don't need any of this stuff. You don't need a special scale that you grab a thing and like all that's great. Mm-hmm. But the reality is, look at those 5 and do an honest evaluation and watch your energy levels, your healing, your recovery, your hormones, everything change, because that is what your metabolism thrives on.